If you're looking to build a stockpile but are a little overwhelmed and wondering exactly what you should do, well, I'm here today to share 5 simple rules that will make stockpiling easier for you no matter where you are, whether you're beginning or trying to build things up. These rules will make all the difference. Ready to see what they are? I'm Kristen here at Joyfully Thriving, and I am a firm believer that having a stockpile is one of the best ways you can save your family money. I've been stockpiling for a while now, but in the past couple years, I've gotten more serious about it as we've seen a lot of shortages around, as inflation has hit harder. It's become a real source of savings for our family. It's our practical emergency fund. That's how I view our stockpile. So as I've been thinking about it, I've had a lot of people ask me questions just wondering how they really get going, and a stockpile is very personal based on what you and your family eat and the things that you use on a regular basis. However, I was able to come up with a couple guidelines or rules, if you will, that I believe can help everyone build a stockpile that will work for them. So these are the 5 rules that I have for you today if you are looking to build a stockpile. The first rule is to store what you eat and eat what you store. I know you've probably heard that around here before. Anyone who stockpiles has heard that. It makes no sense to store things on your shelf that you're never going to eat. Look through what your family eats and uses on a regular basis. Remember, a stockpile is more than just food. It does include toiletries, laundry detergent, anything your family uses on a regular basis. But look through the things that your family normally uses and buy that. Stockpile that. Put those items in your pantry. If you eat a lot of peanut butter, have that on your shelves. If you eat a lot of pasta, have that in your stockpile. Make your stockpile based on what you have and then rotate through it. Use those things that are in your stockpile. Your stockpile really should be a working pantry. It's kind of your own personal at-home grocery store, if you will. And so by storing the things that you regularly use, more than what you need in a stockpile, it's easy to use those things. The only exception to this rule is if you have built up a good, decent working stockpile and you have started investing in what a lot of people call long-term food storage, and those are the things that are freeze-dried and packaged to last for 30 years or more. If you have done that and you are purchasing some of those things, which I don't recommend until you have a regular stockpile of the things you're using on an everyday basis, but if you had ventured into long-term food storage, yes, then those things you can leave on your shelf in case of emergency for the next years. But otherwise, store what you eat and eat what you store. The second rule is to buy 1 for now and 2 for later. Now, by saying that, it doesn't mean you can only buy 2 things at a time. What it simply means is to change your thinking. When you see an item that you regularly use on sale at the grocery store, don't just buy the one that you know you're going to use this week or next week. Think ahead. How many are you going to use in the next month, 2 months, 3 months? Plan ahead and buy 1 that you can use now and 2 or more for later. Of course, this is going to be based on how good of a sale it is if you're shopping the sales, what the availability is, and of course what your budget allows. Change your mindset. It's really important to start thinking of buying 1 for now and 2 or more for later. The third rule is to follow the first in, first out rule. And again, this is something grocery stores do and anyone should be doing with anything in your pantry. It simply means that the last thing you purchased is going to be the first thing you use here. So if you're looking through your pantry, it's basically organizing things according to expiration dates is another way to think about it. But when you buy something, you bring it home and you put it immediately in the back of what you already have on your pantry so that the first thing you're using was the first thing out. Does that make sense? I hope so. Really just think you're trying to use things before they expire. And by following the first in, first out rule, then you are going to make sure you're rotating through things regularly. So get in that habit. Sometimes it does take a little bit of practice, and I like to every 6 months or so to kind of just go through my shelves, check some dates, and reorganize them if I need to because things do move around. Also, do remember that expiration dates for majority of projects really are a best buy date. As soon as you hit that date, it does not mean you have to throw the can away. So just stay on top of them, use them regularly, and if you're storing what you eat and eating what you store, you shouldn't have a problem with this. Rule number 4 is to keep a stockpile list of the things you have in your stockpile and the things you want to have in your stockpile. Now, I will admit this is definitely the trickiest one for me personally because I really do have a working pantry. If you've seen any of my other stockpiling videos, you know I have a working pantry upstairs. I have a stockpile in our unfinished basement. I move things from the basement upstairs. It's very fluid. I'm constantly using things. So for me personally, what works is I do have a general idea of the things I want to add to my stockpile, and I have developed a stockpile minimum list. So for example, I know at any given time, I want to have 12 bottles of apple juice on my shelves. That's just the number I know for our family that works. Or I know I want to have at least 10 jars of peanut butter on the shelves. You can go through that, and to do it, it's very simple. Just think through the top 2 to 3 dozen items your family regularly uses. And if you start dating them to figure out exactly how long one thing lasts, like I've talked about before, then it's really easy to make your stockpile minimum. You know exactly how long a product is used in your family. So for example, like our apple juice, 1 bottle lasts us for a week and a half. And so I know by multiplying it out, if I have 12 jars, that lasts us through 3 months of apple juice. So make your stockpile minimum list. Make a list of the things that you want to add to your stockpile too, and that's helpful because then you can watch for sales, and as you see a good sale in that, you know that you want to add it to your stockpile, and it helps keep you focused on the things you have and the things you want to add to your stockpile. The 5th rule is really important, and it's simply to be more prepared today than you were yesterday. I know stockpiling is overwhelming, and honestly, it's never done. You are always working on it. You're always adding to it. You're using things from your pantry. You're adding to it. You are figuring out exactly what your family needs. Maybe you're going from having a 1-month supply in your shelves to working towards the 3-month supply, a 6-month supply. If you haven't seen my video about the baby steps of building a stockpile, you might want to check that out. I'll leave that video in the description link below. But with a stockpile, yes, there is always more you can do. The best thing is to keep working at it. Anything you've done today, what you have on your shelves today, is more than you had yesterday. So keep working at it and just keep going, because your ultimate goal is to be more prepared today than you were yesterday. Sometimes that means we're taking a lot of baby steps. We're doing little things here and there. We're adding to our emergency fund and savings. Maybe we're adding 1 can of long-term food storage. Maybe we stocked up on the sale of pasta. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you do one little thing every day to help your family be prepared in the case of an emergency or just to be better prepared for the future, that is more than you have done before. So just keep working at it. Simply be more prepared today than you were yesterday. And if you work through all of these things and keep building your stockpile, you definitely will find that you are preparing your family for whatever may come in the future. I hope you found this video helpful. There is so much that you can talk about with stockpiling, and I have a whole playlist of videos if you want to check that out and talk more about that. If stockpiling is something that interests you, be sure to subscribe and join me here, because I do talk about that regularly. Every week, in fact, you'll see me share a grocery haul on Thursdays of what I'm buying for our family on our monthly budget and how I add to the stockpile for our family. I also recently just shared kind of my goals for 2023 stockpiling, and I'll let you know that is to build a solid 6-month supply of food for our family. We are there in some areas, we're not in others, but I wanted to make sure that across the board we really have a good 6-month supply of everything we use. So I'd love to know which one of these rules seems the most important to you, or do you have other rules that you follow, or do you want to add a new one? If you do, be sure to leave it in the comments, because I love to hear from all of you, and it really allows us all to learn from each other too when we're talking about stockpiling. So thanks for joining me in this video. Keep building that stockpile, and I will see you in the next video.